Financial excellence, integrity, and professional development have been the hallmarks of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados across half a century. Leading this transformation was Sir Kenneth Hewitt. As ICAB's first president, he guided the profession through its formative years. From inception, the members understood that building a strong accounting profession required more than just technical expertise. It needed vision, education, and strategic partnerships.
In an expanding economy, we recognize that there would be a growing demand for accounting services. And we were the best people to more or less guide that and help in providing the supply to meet that demand. So the thing that jumped at us fairly early was education. And as small as we were, without much financial resources at that time, we actually provided a lecture in accounting in the ACCA program at Barbados Community College at our expense. We did that. I mean, that was breaking ground. That may seem a simple run-of-the-mill thing now, but in those days, that is breaking ground.
While ICAB's roles in professional development and as a regulatory body were clear from the start, its influence would soon extend into shaping one of Barbados's most significant economic developments, the offshore sector.
A lot of people came and found a booming sector and so on, but again, it didn't start as a booming sector. The central bank and members and accountants, especially those who had affiliates in Canada, were the prime people who put that on the Barbados map. And you would know that there was the contribution that that sector made to what I may call meaningful employment, foreign exchange, and tax revenue. You can't sort of underscore that at all. And that's one of the things that I think we got to remember that we played a central role in the establishment of that sector.
Beyond the numbers and balance sheets, ICAB's legacy is woven into the very fabric of Barbados's economic and social development. The Institute has created a ripple effect that extends from our shores to the global financial community and is well respected locally and internationally.
50 years for any organization is a massive milestone, and I think we have achieved so much in 50 years. Over the years, it's moved from just a loose organization to being one of the members of the umbrella body of the ICAB and being very active in the profession in the Caribbean as well, being leaders in the profession in the Caribbean. We have seen over time, we have been able to get a lot more qualified accountants within the government service. I think that was a major achievement when we got qualified accountants in the government service.
When I joined ICAB, there were very few professional accountants in government. And most of the ministries would have had a person at the level of accountant or senior accountant. They would not have held professional accounting designations. Almost every ministry today has a professional accountant that heads the finance division of the particular ministry. ICAB has been able, over the last 50 years, to help persons like myself attain qualification in professional accounting. And professional accountants are important to the Barbados economy, whether you're in the private sector or in the public sector. Because what professional accountants do is to help businesses make informed financial and economic decisions. And those decisions impact on lives, they impact on livelihood, and they impact on the economy. And for government, it's important because you're dealing with taxpayers' money. And therefore, if you are to have the confidence of the taxpayers that their monies are being spent appropriately, then you need to account. And you need to account in a manner that is not only transparent, but in a manner in which your accounting brings confidence to the public that their resources are effectively being utilized and utilized in a proper manner. So that is the type of impact that ICAB has had at the individual, the corporate, and at government level.
ICAB's impact on Barbados, economic and social development, first of all, in terms of being the training ground and the organization responsible for the promotion of the sector, which has really seen the increase in the number of professionally trained accountants in Barbados expand tremendously over the years. In terms of ICAB membership, for example, when I went there in 2009, we had about 650 members. When I left in 2018, we had passed the 1,000 mark. I believe we're well around 1,200 or so. That created an opportunity then for the international business sector, when it was growing, to have access to a pool of talent, which internationally trained. Several accountants have also gone overseas to take advantage of opportunities. So we've really provided for economic development by having a skill base for local companies and international companies. The other word that comes to mind in terms of ICAB's impact is accountability. It is very important that we are able to trust the information that's out there, trust that when we give money to charitable entities, it is well spent, trust that when we pay our taxes, they're well spent, and having skilled, qualified, ethical accountants allows us all to sleep a little easier, knowing that there's less likelihood of fraud, misstatement, and other matters. And if there is, it can be detected and people are appropriately punished. And the final word in terms of impact that comes to mind is really internationalism. And why do I say that? But again, because we're taking the route that we use international accounting standards, all of our people are trained not to Barbados standards, but internationally. It allows us as a small country to have the option of having skills that can be used here, so people can stay here and work for companies overseas, especially with electronic communications such as they are. We can live locally, but work globally.
The skills of a chartered accountant, analytical thinking, strategic planning, and ethical decision-making open doors far beyond the leisure. From corporate leadership to entrepreneurship, ICAB's members are proving that their professional foundation has become a launching pad for diverse and dynamic careers.
I think I am a poster child for this particular topic because I have actually never been an accountant by occupation. I'm an accountant by profession. And I have been a financial controller, I've been a financial director, I'm now a CEO. And I'm therefore an advocate for the fact that accountancy can be a career, but it can also be a fantastic stepping stone and transition to other things, operationally relevant things. Accountancy has come so far from being counting. It is amazing that that's still an unfortunate perception about the profession. And maybe in that, the profession perhaps needs to advocate a bit more about the value add that it brings beyond compiling, the numbers. What the profession has really moved to, and what I am an advocate for, is using the numbers for strategic decision making, for strategic planning, and not just now being able to articulate and compile the numbers, but the real goal is to be able to change the numbers. And to do that, you have to have a lot of other skills that the accountancy profession now understands. It has to transition and evolve to people leadership skills, human capital skills, sociological skills, even physiological skills. The ability to engage and have emotional intelligence, your emotional intelligence quotient. So it's no longer about the numbers, it's about the context of the numbers, it's about what you can do with those numbers. If you can become an accountant that can produce and deliver numbers and also inform how to change them and be part of the strategic mindset and thought leadership of changing and developing and taking an organization, whatever that organization is, from one level to the next, I think you would certainly be touching the apex of what's possible with this profession.
There are certainly your typical accountant is, in fact, that's very, very focused and wants to get those
numbers exactly right. But not all accountants are that way. So truthfully, I don't fit the bill of your typical myth accountant, and the full range is available. I ended up doing accounting because my dad thought it was the right thing to do. I grew to love it because I like math, but I'm not really being that accountant who is, focused on every little detail of every little dollar. It has allowed me really to see the big picture of businesses and to understand the business. So for me, it's is there a myth about it? I don't know. It maybe not is a myth. Maybe it's not a myth. There is the typical accountant, but there's also the full range of people who have accounting skills, qualified as accountants, members of ICAB, but working in multiple different industries. For me, I've touched accounting in many different ways. Obviously it was extremely difficult for me in '86. It's a very difficult profession. It's a very difficult qualification to get as a CPA or a CA or CGA, the various titles that you have. And I've had the opportunities to be a junior accountant. I've been a partner in a public accounting firm. And now I'm the CEO of this firm, and I sit on the boards of many different companies. And I can genuinely tell you that the one skill that is transportable across all of those things has been my understanding of accounting. And I would recommend any young people, no matter what you're doing, even if you decide that you're going to run your own surf shop business, at the end of the day, you're going to have to do a bank reconciliation. You're going to have to understand whether or not you're making money. If you're the smallish shopkeeper and you want to keep your little box with your cash in it, at the end of the day, you need accounting at the center of it. So I would say to all the people out there, if no matter what you do, maybe you're not going to be a professional accountant, but make sure that in part of what you do is you learn accounting.
ICAB's influence reaches across the Caribbean. Immediate past President David Simpson is the CEO of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of the Caribbean, leading the charge in fostering regional collaboration and standardization.
The regional perspective, we have over probably close to 5,000 members and professionals now regionally. And being able to understand their perspective, how things vary in each jurisdiction, because trust me, we are one Caribbean, but each jurisdiction has its peculiarities and differences that we have to try to balance and still make sure we can take the profession forward. So ICAB has played a critical role as a founding member in the regional body and has continued to represent its members there. And members have the opportunity to serve on various committees, etc. And through that regional committee, we try to look at regional projects that can take the profession forward or improve the standard of what we do. So for example, we are currently engaged in restarting our public financial management project, which started in 2016. And ICAB, Lisa Padmore, our CEO, is playing a critical role in that process and so on. And we're really looking at how public sector and governments manage finances, and we're trying to bring everyone together from CARICOM right back down to say we need to be able to have more transparency to manage public funds better in the interests of our citizens, etc. So that's one major project. We're doing things like looking at standards. We are doing training and development work with the other territories in the region to try and get them to the standard of, let's say, ICAB in Barbados, ICAT in Trinidad, or ICAG in Jamaica, who are the larger institutes in the region. So when I was president, I actually created a committee looking at development of the various institutes in the region. And we've been doing a lot of work in that regard. We are going again now to taking, like for example, the institute in Suriname, the one in Belize, the one in Eastern Caribbean, bringing them and twinning them, let's say, with Barbados or Trinidad to help develop them and put the infrastructure in place, the processes and the procedures and so on. So that regional entity allows us to compare notes, to support each other, to learn from the pros and cons that others have gone through, and to build a stronger profession. What it also does then is give the region as a whole an international voice. So we can go to IFAC as a region, we can go to ACCA, we can go to any of the other agencies or even donor agencies like World Bank and IDB as a region and represent, as we said, was our theme probably 10 years ago, strength in numbers. So rather than ICAB having to go to World Bank alone, we represent the entire profession in the region, as we're currently doing with the PFM project. So I think that's where the strength in terms of the Caribbean has been, and we try our best to make sure the regional entity functions better than some people perceive CARICOM or CARICOM entities operate.
On the global stage, ICAB ensures that small nations have a powerful voice in international accounting policy.
It's very important. It gives us a voice on the global stage. It gives us a voice in the standard setting process. It allows us to network with other accounting professionals throughout the world. The good thing about the accounting profession, it is very structured. Yes, there are lots of standards, there's lots of rules to follow, but we are very organized with conferences, networking opportunities, etc. So it allows us to have our voice heard as well as to make ourselves known on the global stage, so that then when we have events in Barbados, it is relatively easy to get people from the profession to come to Barbados, for example, and to take us seriously when we make representation.
For Vice President Damien Skeet, his membership in ICAB prepared him for his involvement at the international level.
I was the International Assembly rep for Barbados to ACCA, and I'm also part of the Global Forum for SMEs in ACCA as well. How has ICAB helped me? ICAB, I came to ICAB as a young student who recently, qualified and joined in the profession. But ICAB helped me to understand the breadth of impact that the accounting profession can have on society. All is not limited to just in my jurisdiction, but if you want to have greater reach, you have the ACCA, you have the International Federation of Accountants, that ICAB prepares you to take that leap and to rub shoulders with the cutting edge in terms of professionals across the world.
Its reputation for excellence is reflected in the caliber of ICAB's members. And for 50 years, ICAB has served both as guardian of standards and enabler of professional growth.
Our members are expected to have, at a minimum, 120 hours of continuous learning over a 3-year period. So to help them with that, we actually have a calendar of learning, which could have a large and varied subject matter. It can be about ethics and governance, which is annual. It's anti-money laundering now, making sure that as part of the ecosystem that the country regulates for anti-money laundering, we do our bit by making sure our members are up to date as it relates to legislation, or even just new things that people are trying in that space. We'll do things specific to technical matters, accounting, auditing, tax. But we'll also look at things like organizational behavior. We'll look at technology and its impact on the profession. So that calendar we put on annually. We try to aim for somewhere between 80 to 100 hours of content that we provide for our members. We have opportunities just to network. We create social activities for our members as well too. And so therefore, our day as a secretariat is either planning for the next item, or a piece of legislation might come in from an area of government asking us to review it. So it's to sit down and review that, make comments, get feedback from membership. So there's a lot that we do on a daily basis.
While continuing to elevate current professionals, ICAB is actively shaping the next wave of accounting talent. In addition to its involvement with the Accounting Students Association of the University of the West Indies, ICAB is also collaborating with the Barbados Community College.
We would have just recently signed a memorandum of understanding with them, again to help them in terms of curriculum review and making sure that the degree program, the associate degree program that's being offered by them is also future-proofed, recognizing that the generations to come after us look at learning in a different way. The length of time, for example, it took me, for example, to complete my professional examinations is something that I did, directly after I finished university. But we've seen, studies have shown us that generation Y, Z, Alpha will look at it differently, and they'll want to do it in stages. And so we're talking to BCC about their program and how we could help them to create more attractiveness around their profession, but also at the same time to make sure that when someone does do an associate degree, for example, and pauses, that there's content and experience coming out of that experience that can be used by employers, and they can then leverage off of that in the future and continue their studies at another point in time.
My journey to the profession really started with my upbringing back home. I kind of grew up on the borderline of poverty, so I had to learn the importance of financial literacy from a very young age, and then that pretty much developed into a passion for accounting. And my appreciation for the profession only grew as I interacted with the Barbados accounting fraternity. The professionals that I meet here, they've been in the profession for almost as long as I've been alive. So it's great to see that there is definitely some satisfaction to be gained from being in the accounting field. So that has only further developed my love for the profession, and that led to me being the president of the Accounting Students Association. And we were established almost 15 years ago. We'll be 15 in 2025. And ICAB has been instrumental since inception. They were a very core foundation. They have been with us for a very long time, and their collaboration has really furthered the development of accounting students and eventually accounting professionals very much. There's a lot of mentorship that happens as well as sponsorship. So we're very grateful to the relationship that we have with ICAB. It's great to see that in 10, 15, 20 years, your hard work and dedication can and will lead somewhere. For students, it's great to see that, there's a structure there as far as standardization and development, and ICAB offers lots of benefits to students. So it's really important for students to see what the institution can bring.
As a young accountant, becoming a member of ICAB would be pivotal to your career success, and in more than one way. Firstly, the networking opportunities that are provided would be one that you could truly benefit from. When you think about, once we have our social activities, we have our seminars, our webinars, it allows you to come on and have that level of exposure to other professionals, helps you with your growth and development. Becoming a member also allows you there are career opportunities that can be developed. There's mentorship that we give. We also do scholarships for persons like at University of West Indies. So there are a number of opportunities that come from being a student member. You also have the benefit of, as I said, working with the professionals, but also seeing and being able to give back.
50 years on, ICAB's commitment to excellence remains unwavering.
When I think about the profession in general, I'm actually very proud of what we've been able to achieve. Our penetration within our small population is very high, and we have a pipeline that is still very, very strong. In my conversations only last month with the Barbados Community College, the number of persons that were applying to enter the accounting program there was still high, over 300 students. So I know that there's a lot of great interest in the profession.
I think as a country, financial literacy, and not just in schools, but even for the elderly and for the average Barbadian, is a big area for us. We want to ensure that our people are financially literate, understand how it's about saving your money, how you balance, whether it's your financial statements or how you're actually handling your expenditure, just understanding the importance of being financially literate, because with a financially literate society, you are building a strong backbone for a strong economy. The other area is that of advocacy. We will continue to advocate through our members to governments for areas that are important, whether that is changes in legislation, the importance of being able to do the ease of business in Barbados, because we know it's critical, especially if we want to continue to play on the global scale. So for me, it's twofold. It's about financial literacy and advocacy on the government side, especially to ensure that as a country that we are moving forward in the right direction with alacrity and addressing issues forefront where we as accountants can support.
From its humble beginnings to becoming a cornerstone of Barbados' financial sector, ICAB's journey has far exceeded its founders' expectations, becoming one of the most respected professional organizations in the country.
In our wildest dreams, I certainly, and I'm sure others in my time, would not have visualized an ICAB of 1,000 members, an ICAB with a full-time secretariat. I mean, those were somewhat beyond our dreams. Having said that, it is important to note that ICAB didn't jump to that overnight. It went there in stages, and in those stages, very often built on foundations that were set in the early days. If you think in terms of the rights that ICAB have, these are things that were put in place fairly early, vis-a-vis the accounting and auditing standards, the exclusive right to be an auditor. Young accountants may not realize that there was a time when anybody could be an auditor. I mean, and we had to, when I say a fight, obviously not physically, but we had to use some contacts, whatever, to get these things in place. And we were successful in doing that. And ICAB was able to build, fortunately, on that very foundation.
Today, as ICAB stands as a beacon of professional excellence, its legacy of rigorous standards, strategic partnerships, and unwavering support for aspiring accountants continues to define the profession in Barbados. This golden anniversary marks not just 50 years of achievement, but sets new benchmarks for decades more to come.